All right, I think I'm live. Hello, everybody. Hello. I am going to just wave a quick hello to everyone, and then I'm going to turn my camera off and go ahead and share my screen for my slide deck presentation. But I'm so glad that you could join us here today live, or if you're watching this on the recording, that is wonderful. I hope you get a lot out of this session. It's been such an honor for me to be able to put this together for you, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we go. Okay. All right. So our session today is See the World with Google Tour Creator. I've just loved a lot of different Google things. So I thought today this would be a great way, since we have people from all over the world joining us today, that we could actually show ways that we could share the world with our students. My name is Tricia Lewis, and I'm the PK, so that means 4-year-old kindergarten through 12 technology integration professional for the Richland School District in Richland Center, Wisconsin, in the course in the United States. If you know Wisconsin at all, I'm in the lower, like the southwest corner. Globally, I would be halfway between Minneapolis and Chicago, kind of down in a rural area. So this is a wonderful way for me to share my world with you. I'm starting my 27th year in education. I was 19 years a music educator, and that meaning band. And then I transitioned into a role of technology, and now I'm starting my 5th year with this school district as a technology integration professional. I'm a Google certified trainer and Google educator and Apple teacher, and just got accepted into the Microsoft in Education Expert Program for this year's cohort. So I'm like really super excited about that too. I do all sorts of things with STEM in the classroom, as well as assisting our teachers and our students as we endeavor to learn how to use technology for the best purposes in our learning situation. So that's me, and let's get going. Today, you can find this slide deck that I'm sharing with you now and other resources at bit.ly/PTLAUG20. And yes, that is case sensitive, but I made it all lowercase, so it should be pretty simple to type in. Again, that is bit.ly/PTLAUG20. And on that, you'll find this slide deck where you can make a copy for yourself or just view it there, and all sorts of other resources that I have prepared for this presentation today. And I'm just going to give 5 more seconds on this slide so that you can see it. And this is, I'm sure that there will be a banner, there's a banner available, or we can also, I can share this again at the end if any other person has questions about it. Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get going. Today's outline is I'm going to address these 5 points. I'm going to share what is Google Tour Creator, why should I use Google Tour Creator, how do I build a tour, how do I share a tour, and if you have any questions or comments about today's presentation, I'd be glad to answer as much as I can. So let's get going. What is Google Tour Creator? Of course, Google has a deep history with map tools. You know, if you have a Google, if you're looking for something up, you can just go to Maps. If you're on your mobile device and you need routing information, you can get that there. Google has had other map tools in the past. One was, you can use Maps itself. You can use Google Tour Builder. That's really a unique product. And one of the latest iterations is Google Tour Creator. Tour Creator is a tool that allows anyone to create virtual reality tours. You can use imagery from templates, Google Street View, or your own 360 image collection. And actually, you can use 180 photos as well. Then you can add details like audio files, highlight points of interest, other information, photos on top of the images. So it's kind of like kind of like a hyperthink link if you've ever used that before. I also like to think of it as something like a hot dots type thing that you can able to have an image and be able to put all sorts of information on top of that image. Just one note to make sure that you all know out there that Google Tour Creator is not one of the core Google apps. So you may want to check with your IT department or your Google Apps administrator to make sure it's turned on for use in your educational domain. You can use it on any personal Google account right away without having to worry about it. But if you're going to use it in your domain account, you want to make sure that it does work and that it is available for your students to use. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that was out there. Why should you use Google Tour Creator? Google Tour Creator is a great way to impart information on a topic to students, but it can also be used for students in kind of an amped up version of a slide deck. It'd be a great way for students to be creative and to show what they know in a variety of different curricular areas. Some ideas for Google Tour Creator are like highlights in cities in different countries, locations from different historical events, scenes from novels or other literature, and you could share biographical information. And there's so many more different topics that you could think of. So a lot of people think of when they think of maps, they primarily think of social studies, as that would be the topic where you would use maps in. But maps are crucial to any part of any curricular area in education. So I think you might find this a very interesting way to be able to share information or for your students to show what they know in their curricular area. So how do you build a Google tour? I'm going to be doing a live demonstration on how to do this, but I also want to make sure that you know that I have a step-by-step process and that you can refer to that via this slide deck. By clicking on each one of these different buttons here, it takes you to a text document that gives you step-by-step of how to do everything that I'm demonstrating today. So just know that all of this is here for you. So if you don't catch it on the first time through, you're going to be able to go through and take it through step by step on how to do it. So let's get started. Let me give you a live demonstration of how to do Google Tour Creator. So the first step, of course, is going to be going to the Tour Creator main page. And of course, I have that linked in our slide deck as well. I just have it here as a quick resource for us. And this is I've already been signed into my Google account through Chrome, so I don't have to worry about that. That's something you might have to do. So I just want to make sure that you knew that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So this actually pops up into a new window, and you can see that I've done other tours here. I also have ones that I have a draft going, so you can work on things and not have them out live for the world, or you can have finished ones as well. There's also templates available here that you can have. It helps you to go through one of these tours and see what they're all about. But I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch. And to do that, simply press that plus button and create a new tour. Once that comes up, you're presented with this interface here. A few quick things to be able to load in there. First, we're going to give a title to our tour. Notice that you can have up to 50 characters for that title. In the description, you're going to type what that tour is all about. There's going to be a drop down here of categories, and I'll show you that in a moment. And you're going to want to put a cover photo here for what the tour is about. So I have some resources that I just have ready to go for us to use. One thing I would advise for you to do is to kind of gather some resources, have your students gather those resources in a folder locally or in their Google Drive. So when they get started on this process, they have everything ready to go. Kind of make an outline of what your tour is going to be about. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cover photo on first, and I'm going to select an image. And I'm going to get on my desktop here. And I'm going to go ahead and choose this picture right here because the first scene in my tour is going to be of the Wisconsin State Capitol. Since this is a being able to see the world, I'm going to let all of you see a little bit of my world by showing you something locally. So I'm going to go ahead and put that picture as my cover picture. And I'm just going to title this and a quick description. Now you might want to be a little bit more explicit in your description. I'm just doing something quick here. And then here's this drop down with the categories. So notice that you have a lot of different categories for this. And the reason why you would want to use categories is that when we get to the finished product, you can be able to search by those. And most likely mine are going to be places and scenes. That's kind of something I'm into with photography. But notice there's all sorts of different categories that you can choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and choose places and screen. Now, notice down here that we have this button right here about using this tour in Google Expeditions. Keep that in the back of your mind because I'm going to share with you of how you can do that. From that point on, we could cancel, but of course we want to keep going. So let's go ahead and put create. So the first thing that we could do is that we could add our scene in here. So the good thing about this is you don't have to have your own 360 photography to start this. You can actually just look up pictures right inside using Google Maps here. So if I put in the Wisconsin State Capitol, so I got that inside picture. That's not exactly what I was looking for. So I can see that I'm right here on this map too. I could drag and I see I have Pegman on the map. So that's easiest for us to find one. I'm going to get into my right area here. And I'm going to drag Pegman right over here. Oh, now I found a picture that I would want to use. So right now we just have this view right here. And when we add scene, it magically goes into the 360 view. And now I'm just using my mouse and I'm clicking and dragging and pulling around here. And I can see all around this image. The first thing I like to do is to choose, it says to set the starting view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the picture so that when the students first look at this tour, that's what they get. So when I have it where I want, I'm going to go ahead and press save. So now I have the starting view ready to go. I'm going to call this scene, I'm going to call this Capital One, number one. And it's the Wisconsin State Capitol. Notice you can add a description in here. You can have up to 500 characters. So for your students, maybe they would want to just start a Google Doc or use any other word processing program to type that out ahead of time instead of try to type it in there. That way they can make sure their spelling is correct and everything. You can credit the image here. I'm going to come back to these two buttons momentarily. And at this point, we could add a point of interest. Point of interest is going to be that hot dot, that little piece of extra information that we can put into this. So I'm going to add a point of interest. And you can put that dot wherever you want it to be. And notice that when this came up, we have this untitled point of interest. So I'm going to put this right at the entrance here. I'm just going to call this. And then be able to put that in here. Notice on this one, on the title for that, it's up to 50. And when we get to describe this point of interest, we have up to 300 characters. Now at this point, I'm going to add another point of interest. And instead of having just text come up, notice that's going to be that eyeball here, I'm actually going to choose a picture. So I'm going to take this picture, I'm going to select an image, and remember that first image I put as the cover photo? I'm actually going to drop my personal picture of the Capitol on top here. Notice now when we have this point of interest here, this is going to be the picture. And you can put that picture wherever you want it to be so that when people are looking at this, they can be able to click on it and view that image. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it kind of about right here. And I'm just going to title this point of interest. Beautiful building, day or night. At the top, just some information, you can see our statue at the top is our state motto, which is forward. And we have the picture here, and of course, we can describe it a little bit further. Now, I could keep adding points of interest. Now, you're thinking, well, that's just the flat picture. Oh, no, it isn't. Remember, we could spin around here, and we could add another point of interest someplace else. So if I add a point of interest, I'm thinking right over here, this is Lake Monona. And I could talk a little bit more about that. I can be able to put that where I want to. So I could literally fill this image with all sorts of these hot dots, these little points of interest. And you can see how they're available here as I keep going. Now, this was using a 360 image from Google itself, but you can also use your own 360 images. So I'm going to go ahead and add a scene. And we're back to that same window where we were at before, where we could type in the map and be able to look at something. But I'm going to go ahead and upload. And I just happen to have some 360 images. And note, you can use not only a 360 image, but a 180 image. And I'll go over how you can be able to take some of those images as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select my 360 image. We're in the same area. Now notice we have the 360 image, and when you first preview it, it's going to be flattened out. So it gives this kind of very weird skewed look of what this looks like. But when we go ahead and add the scene, voila, the picture becomes this 360 image just like we had before. There is that Capitol image. If we spin around, we can see the Capitol or the Madison Police Department and a civic building. Way down at the end, we'd have Lake Monona and the Monona Terrace. So you're kind of getting this bird's eye view of Madison. Now, yes, I took this picture myself. In fact, if I tip down a little bit further, oops, there I am right in my car. I was holding my 360 camera on my selfie stick. So I just kind of parked and took an image and kind of kept on my way. Same thing as before. I'm going to call this Capitol 2. And the location. We can give this description. And you could credit a little bit further. Now I'm going to go into these buttons right here that I didn't address before. Not only can you add text and images, but you can add narration or ambient audio to this. So when you're doing narration, you have to go outside of Tour Creator to record it first. And I think the easiest way to do it is there's a website called Online Voice Recorder, and I have a link to that in the presentation. And you simply go to that site, record what you want to record, and download an MP3. No more than 30 seconds for that narration there. But this is a great way for your learners to be engaged not only visually, but to be able to hear that about the narration as well. So I pre-recorded some narration just in case we'd have a little technical difficulty of me trying to be on the microphone of two different things at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button right here. And it says add scene narration. It says narration will be played at the start of the scene. And I already have an audio file ready to go. And remember, this needs to be an MP3 audio file. So I have my audio ready to go. I can go ahead and play it here. so on and so forth. And notice I have 8 seconds, so it's perfect. I could trash that out if I accidentally grabbed the wrong one. But if I'm ready to go, I can go ahead and click add. And now we have the narration. Notice it's got the line through it because we have something there. So if you'd want to take it away, we could do that as well. So again, from this point, I could keep adding the points of interest on top of it because this is my own picture of the Capitol. I kind of want to add another one of my own pictures from inside the Capitol. So I'm going to add a point of interest and I'm going to make it a picture. I'm going to go into my resources here that I have ready to go. Now, remember when I first introduced myself, I was a band teacher for a number of years, and I was privileged enough to be able to bring my band and play live at the state capitol. Talk about an experience that I'll never forget, and those students have never forgotten it as well. So if I go ahead and add that image in, I'm going to pop that baby right up in here, and we can see the image that's going to be on there. And so we were able to play. Now, playing a band in a marble building, that was quite an experience with all the echo. We really had to listen close to each other. So I'm going to say, then we can describe it. And so on and so forth. And we can keep adding points of interest onto this. So you can either, so it's just kind of a recap of what we've done so far. You can have your own pictures in here to create your 360 images on, or you can just choose from that. Now, how are you going to get this for students to see it? At this point, we are going to publish this. When it publishes it, it's going to publish it to Poly. And I'm going to show you Poly in just one moment. I have 2 scenes in here. You can choose for the visibility to be public. So anybody on Poly could be able to search it and find it and look for it and be able to look at it. Or you can choose it to be unlisted. And at that point, that means only the people with the link to it could be able to do that. I'm going to go ahead and make it public. And I'm going to publish it. Now, this is not instant that it goes up to Poly, where other people could find it, but notice it does give you a link to be able to have that. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that so that I can open up a tab and show you what that looks like. So this is the behind the scenes of how to do Google Tour Creator. What does the finished product look like? So let's go ahead and take a look at that link. So now this is how your students would see it. When it opens up, it's just going to start kind of spinning around here, kind of something really visual. Notice that we get the name of it, and then we have the description here. There's those hot dots. I'll show you in a moment here.
Sorry, I couldn't hear
One
what
of the
you
other
said.
things that I want to make sure that you saw here is you have some buttons. You can put this in a full screen mode, which I will do in a moment. But when you're looking at this on a mobile device, that's where it gets really intense because you could take like an iPhone or an Android device, and when you tip that iPhone to the side, it goes into that 360 view where you could drop your mobile device into goggles and be able to really get deep into this. So I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen, and I can be able to click and move around. Remember, we were on scene number 1. This is the one where I took the image from Google itself. I can click on the dot and notice it says it's the entrance to the building. I can go on to number 2 here and it shows me the picture. And it'll automatically spin me around and I would see where Lake Monona is at. That's a really cool way for students to be able to go through this image and see what those hot dots are all about. To get to the next scene, notice I have navigation right here at the bottom of my screen. So now we went from the Google supplied image to my image that I made. So you can see it right here that we have that. I only have one point of interest right here. And if I go ahead and click on it, it opens up that picture. If I just click anywhere outside of the image, I'm able to spin that image around and be able to look at things. I can go up in the sky or down to the ground and be able to go from there. I'm going to get out of my full screen mode here. And that is a wonderful way for your students to be able to see some things. So that is how you build a tour. How do you share a tour? Remember I said when you get done, you can share that link out. You could also make it that unpublished or unlisted link, and then only people with the URL would be able to do it. But what are some other ways that you can share the tour? You can share the link or even embed it in a learning management system like Google Classroom, or we use Schoology or Blackboard or Edmodo, whatever your flavor could be. You can also do something called Google Expeditions. Remember what I talked about that before. I made a little quick video here, and we won't watch it now. I'll have you watch it on your own, of what Google Expeditions looks like. And this is a way that you can actually lead your students through your tour. So it becomes, instead of them doing something on their own, you can, if you have iPads or Android devices or even VR equipment, where you can lead the students through step by step of each thing you want them to see in the tour. So I have just a quick little video in here. Again, I won't share this right now, but just know that's in here that shows what that looks like on Google Expeditions using your own tour. So that's really great. You can also embed this on a website in the link that I gave you at the beginning, the bit.ly/PTLAUG20. You're going to get to a site that looks like this. And like I said, you can embed those in there. Now I have a couple tours that are already done. I'm going to go in the back of these so I can show you how I did that. Resources, and of course the presentation deck. So you can embed them right inside of a website. So that's really great too. You can also embed them in a Pear deck presentation. So I did a quick little screen recording here of how you can do that as well. So you can lead your students through the tour in a Pear deck presentation. Of course, you can send the link via email. You can post it on social media platforms and share it that way. And anything else, if it's got a URL, you can think of how you want to share that file. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the back side of this presentation here. I said that I had other tours here that I've done. So I'm going to show you a few other things that how I've done that in there. This Richland School District one that I did, it started out with my own picture here, but from each point on, these are actually just the Google Street View images of each of the buildings in our district. Talk about getting a look in on the world, that you could see my local world. And then of course you can see these points of interest here where I've added that in. And I have this coming up as well. So it has a personal picture. If I come back out of this and I go into this My Wisconsin one, so you can see this American Legion Park. You can see the Carr Valley cheese, of course, Wisconsin. Ever want to see inside that cheese factory? This is exactly what it looks like. What a great way for kids to be interactive on doing something. And even, by the way, chocolate cheese. Yes, chocolate cheese. And some other local views here. Now remember, I'm just choosing local things because this is how I want to share my point of the world. But when you're building your tour, you can choose images right from Google themselves. So you can actually choose any point in the world. So that's really a cool thing to be able to do. On this one, this is just a local area. We have kind of some different rock formations going on. I have some video, but I also some like a video link here. But you can also embed historical images. So this is the way it looks like today, but doing some look at the historical society for the state of Wisconsin, I can find that same image that was on a postcard from the turn of the century, or a little bit later since it shows a car. So it's a really great way not to show pictures of today, but pictures of the past, all of those different kind of things there. When you're on Poly, you could actually search anything. So I'm just going to go home to Poly here. And you can find all sorts of tours and 360 images and things like that. If you knew of one that was done right, like for you, you can see that's the one I've done and it's published. It's a public one. But other things on Poly are like, so we have different scenes that are built by students, things going on. If I choose Washington, DC, we have all these different expeditions in here. I like that it shows a number of scenes in here. So if I go ahead and do this, this was actually built by Google through Google Expeditions. So we're seeing the South Lawn, the garden room. Oh yes, 360 images inside as well. Oh boy, that shows a lot of things. What if you could take a 360 image of your classroom and be able to put those hot dots on it? And students could even take a tour of the classroom, even if they weren't there. Really cool things for maybe some remote learning situations that you would have to do, or any other parts of your building. Could be a tour for prospective parents, students for your district, or for anything else that's going on. What a great way to share information and get people engaged in your images and learn more about it. So I see that I'm at 11:31 right now. I know I'm supposed to go to 11:40, but I'm going to come back to the StreamYard thing, and I'm wondering if there's any questions or comments here going on. And I am open to hearing any of that or having the host help out here and share anything with me.
Yeah, we have lots of questions if you wanted to look at the comments chat. But we do have some people said they wondered if younger students can use this.
Yes. So I have figured that the students that maybe grade 3 on up, if they had some basic things there, grade 4 for sure. This works the best of doing this. Yeah, it needs to be created like on a laptop, desktop, Chromebook. Doesn't really work on an iPad to put this together, but there is all sorts of great ways for students to do this. I would say maybe around that late grade 3, grade 4 for sure, that students could use this. I see a question pop up here. It says if there's students, more than one teacher can work on a tour at the same time. When you're in your Google Tour Creator, I'm going to go into the one that we were working on here, our sample one. Oops. I just didn't give it enough time here. You can't have two people at the same time, but I don't think you could have two people at all working on this. Yeah, this is kind of something that's through your individual account. It is nothing that you can be working on at the same time. I would say you would have people maybe contribute to it because it's actually just tied to your Google account. Any other questions or something you want to kind of, if you've seen that?
Somebody else said they wondered if there was a copyright issue regarding the Google images.
So since they're provided right through Tour Creator, I'm going to say no. But when you're looking for images, you actually can find images of people that have taken their own. I'm going to go back into this tour that we've had here. That is a very good point here that I wanted to show. And I'm going to go ahead and add a scene. And remember I said street view here. Actually, I'm going to go out here, but I know what one was that easily. All right, so if I'm looking for an image here, I do this right here and look at this image, this is the one that that I took right here. This is my image. If I drag Pegman out, do you see these two little dots here? Wait, let me make sure I got to share my screen because I don't think I did that.
Yes,
let me do that. You. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm in my Google Tour Creator here, and I put in the high school, my high school here. Now this is Pegman. If I drag him out to the highway here, what I'm going to get is I'm getting the picture that was taken by Google for the Street View image. Okay, so this is Google's picture. So you could use that in Tour Creator since they provide you a way to do that. But if I drag Pegman up and over, notice these two little dots here. These are actually my images that I contributed to Google Tour Creator. And if I see this in here, look, it says Samsung because it's a Samsung camera, but I know I took this picture. It's the personal picture. So that's a little bit different. It's also going to come up, and maybe you would see the photographer in here. When we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and add the scene. Notice that we can credit right here what the image is if you happen to know who the photographer is. For some reason, my name didn't show up there, but there are millions of pictures that are uploaded by people from all over the world on Google from Google Street View. That's the app that you can use not only to view Street View images, but to take those 360 images as well. And I have taken pictures, and I think I have 500 pictures from around the United States that I've donated or uploaded for people to be able to use. When I take pictures, I kind of make sure that aren't a lot of people around. If you're taking some, maybe you want to get clearances from people that if you're going to post them publicly. Those are all like conversations that we could have on for like 3 or 4 more sessions worth. But you know, when you're using images right from Google themselves, I think they're pretty safe. If you find images from other people, just make sure that you credit them in this right here.
Thanks so much. That was super informative.
I says, how do you find inside of buildings view? Let me go ahead. I just see one on the side here. I'm going to go ahead and add a scene. We always come back to that same view here. If I type in, let's see. Oh, let's go. I'm going to go to Miller Park here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And we're actually inside here. But what I like to do to be able to find lots of different images, if you pick up Pegman, you can see all the street view things. Those are the different ones from Google. But then when you see all these different dots here, those are actually ones that can be inside of buildings as well. So we can see that someone took this 360 image right inside Miller Park where the Milwaukee Brewers play. And we can be able to add that scene and then be able to put our dots on top of it. Oh, they have the roof closed for this game. So we could maybe add like what seat number this was here. We could say what the score was in the game. Maybe we could put some dots on the field. We could say who the players were. I mean, all sorts of different things that you could do. So you can get inside of the buildings. Again, how I did that is that when I'm at the street view here, actually, it starts out at the Googleplex. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we can find right there.
Hey, Tricia, your screen isn't sharing. Can you try sharing your screen again? We'll make sure.
Oh, sure.
Yep,
okay.
Thank you.
Oh, goodness gracious. I am so sorry about that. So what I did here is I think that on this last one, I don't think I had this in here. I dropped in and I found Miller Park where the Brewers play. So you could drop the points on there. When I go to add a scene, you're always going to start out in California. I'm going to drag Pegman, and I can see, again, where all the lines are, that's going to be the street view images. If I drop where the dots are at, I can be able to get inside. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what some of these images are here. Oh, excellent. So that's another outside image. but you literally can go anywhere in the world. So like building pictures are kind of great, but what if you wanted to see like national parks or something? So if I just put in the Grand Canyon National Park, I am there. I could zoom in a little bit, drag Pegman around and see where all these different areas are at, but I got a pretty good view of that first one right there. Oops. Good, and I'm gonna go ahead and add that scene. And then you can go ahead and you can start that view. It's just endless what you're going to be able to use inside a tour creator. Now this is kind of a weird wacky one that I did here, because I've added more things. If I want people to see those, I would have to republish it, kind of like a website. I would have to republish that website again, or republish this tour again to add the additional ones on. But it just is endless of what you can be able to do. I see something on the side here. It says, can I zoom in and out? You would want to use Google Tour Builder to incorporate that street view in and out versus Tour Creator. I haven't found a way to do that inside, in and out yet, but Google Tour Builder, it lets you incorporate Google Earth in that way, where you can set a scene, put interest points kind of on it, and then be able to go into the street view as well. I see something on the side. Can scenes be numbered? Your scenes across the bottom. Let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. So your screens, it's across the bottom. It's always going to be from left to right, but you could, of course, just number them in order to make that work. So that's something easy. If I can have one of the hosts kind of share maybe a couple thoughts here, that maybe they've seen some things, that if anybody wants me to go over anything one more time.
Hey there. Yeah, I think there's a ton of questions, but unfortunately we are about at time. So what we can do, I think what we're going to plan on doing is review some of the questions, Tricia, and then we'll try and figure out the best way to kind of collate some of those things. And then maybe we can include some overall answers in the follow-up.
Oh, that would be great. I'm gonna make sure that I have my contact page on.
Perfect.
And hear that again. So this is, you can follow me on Twitter, that's my major one, but I do have Facebook, Instagram, and my website. Again, that link where you're going to be able to find everything about this session is bit.ly/PTLAUG20. And that's all lowercase, so it made it easy for you to be able to type in.
Perfect. And I just shared that over in the chat as well.
One last thing I will say about 360 camera. If you want to get started on the cheap, you can actually just use your smartphone and use the Google Street View app. I did have links in that in the presentation, so you'll be able to download that. The camera that I use is a Samsung Gear 360. It was an excellent little camera. They don't make it anymore. It was like $80, and it just fantastic images. Not only could you do 360 images, but you could do 360 video as well, and be able to post that to YouTube for 360 video. So it was an amazing find. You can find all sorts of 360 cameras out there. They run the gamut from prices. They're all pretty good, but you can start easy with your phone and go from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tricia.
Hey, thank you for everybody who joined us live today on the recording. This was super fun. Enjoy making some Google tours.
Take care, everyone.